Okay, really, a long time no see. Why don't you get us started?
If I could, a little bit on the Green Line and the funding and the concern about parking. Some would say, boy, don't members of council have kids and realize that you leave from work, you go to the LRT station, you need your car to go to take and go hockey, piano, etc.
Yeah, that's precisely what I've been saying, is that for a long time in transit circles, not just in Calgary, we think of people who drive to the station sort of as second-class transit commuters. I don't believe that. I think that we should be happy people are taking transit, even if they're taking it for a portion of their journey. Because sometimes people have to transport a big hockey bag, or they've got to pick up 2 kids at 2 different daycares. They just don't have time to take the shuttle bus. So parking has to be a solution, particularly for the more suburban stations. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to have parking in Inglewood, but we have to think about where to put the parking in ways that it doesn't lead to cut through shortcutting traffic through the neighborhood, and also in ways that help us create value. Because I'd also agree that having acres of surface parking around a station is the worst possible use for approximately the most valuable land in the city outside the downtown core, which is land right around a station. But there are compromises here. You can figure out ways to build structured parking, and on top of the structured parking have commercial or retail uses, or affordable housing, or a fire hall. And that's really what we are pushing hard for our administration to think hard about. Land is very precious. God isn't making any more. So let's maximize the use on land as best we can.
Do you know how much you're going to ask the province for?
Yeah, roughly 1/3 of the whole thing. So the federal government has put in $1.5 billion, means the city has to also find $1.5 billion, of which we have $500 million already committed. And then the province, the other 1/3. That's my general idea. If you were to ask that question to Mayor Iveson in Edmonton, he would suggest the province should be putting in 2/3. But we will continue having that discussion with the province. I had a very, very good preliminary conversation with Minister Mason yesterday, and we'll continue to talk. I know that they're committed to this project. I also know that they're challenged in finding the money, so we'll help them find good solutions.
Now, are you meeting next week with the Premier and Edmonton Mayor?
Apparently not. I thought I was.
I heard that on Edmonton television last night.
Yeah, I thought I was too, but apparently there's been a scheduling error, so
right.
we're going to have to try and reschedule it. It was supposed to be on Wednesday, but I think it's been canceled.
So Brian Mason, did he give you a better response? He told reporters a basic generic answer to the
He was a bit
LRT
cagey,
question.
wasn't he, with the media yesterday? You know, there's no real specifics available yet, but I know that Minister Mason is a huge fan of transit. I know that he understands that the transit needs in Calgary and Edmonton are different than everywhere else. And I know he's committed to helping us find a solution.
I just want to clarify too, sorry. Is it for the entire stretch, north-south, or just the southeast portion?
The whole thing. So today's, the southeast portion is just a little bit ahead of the north-central because we had the general alignment set up before we decided the north-central, and we just didn't want to slow it down. So we've now decided on the final alignment and the more or less final station locations for the southeast line. I anticipate for the southeast portion of the Green Line, and I anticipate we'll do the same on the north central portion and on downtown in the upcoming months.
You said you're very proud of the way the city came up with all the work they've done on the Green Line so far compared to maybe past transit projects in the past. Can you explain a bit why?
I live near Westwind, McKnight Westwind Station, which is, I believe, the most beautiful station on the line. St. Alta's pretty nice too. But although it's this beautiful station that's incredibly, works incredibly well for transit users, it sits in a sea of a parking lot, and around it, big box stores with large parking lots. There's a car wash across the street and a drive-through Wendy's and Tim Hortons. It is the worst example of transit-oriented development or transit being integrated into a community, maybe in the city. And it doesn't invite people to walk from their neighborhood into the city. It induces demand for the parking because it's just so unpleasant to walk. So you got to get that right. And the West LRT, again, is a good example of not getting it right. So we need to figure out what the transit-oriented development looks like next to every station. We need to rezone the land in advance and give people the opportunity to start building in advance. So the thinking on the Green Line is backwards of how we've thought about these before. Think about the neighborhood context even before you think about where to put the station. I think that's great. And it's been a challenge for city staff to think about this in a brand new way, but they've done a terrific job.
And can I switch to CalgaryNEXT just for a moment, the upcoming discussion on that about your proposal. What do you need from the Flames right now? They just seem to have been quiet for a while since they made their proposal.
Oh, I don't think they've been quiet at all.
Well, publicly.
Yeah, Mr. King's been making lots and lots and lots of speeches. But it would be helpful if they were to flesh out their thinking even further. The numbers are very vague in terms of the costs. We don't really have a sense of good design. So I'll give you an idea. The concept of a joint fieldhouse football stadium on the surface is very intriguing. Football stadiums are only used for 10 or 12 games a year, so why not use the facility for something else? Very intriguing. But here are some questions. Has this been done anywhere else? Does it work? Do we have architects who think you can build that? So these are the sorts of questions that we need to push. And how do the sight lines work? So these are the sorts of questions that we need to keep thinking about as we move forward. And the city has a lot of questions to answer, particularly around how much it's going to cost to remediate the lands in the West Village.
King has said that it's not possible to build CalgaryNEXT on the Stampede grounds. Do you think it's possible to build a new arena out there?
I think there are lots of options out there that are yet unexplored.
What options would you like to see explored?
There are many of them.
Do you have a preference?
There are many of them.
You must have number one.
We have fun doing this, don't we?
Do we need a peacemaker between the Flames and the Stampede?
No, I don't.
Supposedly they don't get along?
No, I haven't heard that. I think that they have a good... It's an interesting situation because the Stampede is not actually the Flames landlord. The Saddle Dome, although it's on Stampede Park, doesn't belong to the Stampede, it belongs to the city. So the city is the landlord, but I have not heard that they've got a bad relationship. I think it could be probably more value creating, but I think everyone understands that.
Well, as the landlord, does the city not have some leverage then to ask the Stampede and the Flames organization to sit down and perhaps negotiate something to build it on the Stampede?
I often suggest to people they should get along better and try and create value together.
Have you suggested that to them?
I feel like I'm being cagey for no reason. There's no reason to be cagey. There are a lot of options out there, and I've encouraged everyone to explore these options. All right, thank you.